Recently, my niece, who is a freshman at Fordham University, was in contact with her father, my brother, asking him, my brother, Mark, when our great-grandfather came over from Germany. You know, what year did that happen, and some of the particulars, the specifics around his arrival in this country, which actually was back in the 1880s. Of course, he would be my niece's great-great-grandfather. And this question was because of some paper that my niece is involved in at the end of the semester dealing with genealogy. And of course, as we all know, genealogies are very popular, and indeed they're important because the more we understand where we come from, the more deeply we really know who we are, the more deeply we know our identity. As we enter this third week of Advent, we hear every year on this day the genealogy of Jesus according to St. Matthew. And as Pope Benedict has recently written in his third book on the Jesus of Nazareth series, focusing on the infancy narratives, the two key figures in this genealogy, as Matthew presents it, is Abraham and David. And indeed, St. Matthew presents the genealogy of Jesus as the fulfillment of all that God has promised. God promised to Abraham descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky. That promise is fulfilled all these generations later in the person of Jesus. And God promised to King David a kingdom that would last forever. And that is a promise that is fulfilled in the person of Jesus, the King of Kings, the Prince of Peace. To sum up, then, this rich genealogy, we know in our hearts, God is faithful. God is faithful. Our country certainly is reeling from the impact of the terrible events in Newtown just a few days ago. And some have asked the question, where was God? Where is God? My friends, God is faithful. God was with those little children at their hour of need, right by their side. God is with their parents and their families who are grieving terribly, right by their side. God is with our country as we grapple with this terrible violence and loss of life, right by our side. God is faithful. And as you and I deal with the struggles of our lives, which perhaps in today's reality may seem so insignificant, and yet they can be very real and have certainly a clear impact upon us as we deal with struggles and difficulties, we must always remember and trust in that promise that God is faithful. That is the message of Matthew's genealogy. And that is the truth of this Advent season. Indeed, the promise of God, fulfilled in Jesus, presented in Matthew's genealogy, really comes to completion at the end of Matthew's gospel, when Jesus says to his disciples, and he says to you and me and Christians of all ages, I am with you always,